of sexual abuse, unfortunately, who then lose a lot of their self-esteem, and energetically, because that self-esteem is no longer within their jurisdiction, the people who initiated these types of attacks on these people are then able to step into a position of authority over them. It seems like something that could be happening to anyone at any time. It seems very vague, but as you watch it unfold in a person's life, the compounded abuse can actually be enough to drive a person very slowly insane and out of their own power over themselves. Hence why a lot of these illnesses, especially those with very criminal repercussions, such as diagnoses of bipolar disorder or schizophrenic tendencies, or schizophrenic attitudes and disorders as they're referred to, actually have to do more with the types of reactions emotionally that a person is being forced to suppress due to the fact that they're being bullied by their support circle. I deemed this kind of like a man-made psychopathic sort of path that a person is expected to follow when they're a target of this kind of abuse. And the way that this kind of unfurls is that a person is bullied and repeatedly isolated socially first to make them feel like no matter what decisions they make in their life, they are alone, which leads them possibly to make further worse decisions due to a lack of emotional and psychological support that is a crux of necessity for that formative point in their lives. So once that's attacked, it follows through to even worse decision making, because there is no reward system for good decisions made by the person who's being targeted. And then this is also something that becomes a target and a vulnerability to the people who are deciding that they need to be punished, be it, through legal repercussions for their behavior or any type of thing like this, to assure that they don't succeed. Because if they succeeded in their purposes and were able to override this type of mechanical and psychological repeat of abuse, then they would actually make it into a place where they could step into their purpose and follow through with greater things than other people anticipated them to fall into. It's very important for people to be in touch with their purposes as people and to realize what it is that their recognition in life, their successes in life, and their grand scheme and plan that obviously we don't always have control over, but fate, and I believe that God does, is necessary for the interactions they're going to have with other people. It's necessary for them to succeed because other people who are tied in with their successes are going to be gratified by them as well. And this is something that benefits people when they're suffering, when they're grieving certain losses, when they're unsure of which path or advice to take and where it is that they should take as a direction in the course of their lives. And as we go through life, we realize that everything truly is, in a lot of ways, connected. So if a person has a scheduled meeting by fate to meet someone, and that person is damaged by the time they make it to that purpose and place by these circumstances, then it would appear that within an agenda, that person is at a loss for the simple fact that they had these encounters external to whatever it is that was already set in motion for their lives. A lot of people would say that fate isn't real, that it's not true, that it's not true to course, but actually those are the very same people who are supporting an agenda that fate is not purposeful. And when we understand that fate is purposeful and that any abuses to a person's fated events is actually counter to the will of what the universe has in store for them, it causes a lot of spiritual unrest and grave disappointment that results in very harmful karma. We're talking about karmic retribution by the beloved ancestors, for example. I don't know if you've ever heard of those, perhaps you have, some of you, and some of you who haven't. These are our guides and spiritual supports all throughout the courses of our lives to assure that we make it to those places and those meetings and those divine encounters that are scheduled by fate unscathed. They are people who have passed on in our lineages. They are people who are, supportive of us due to ancestral karma that was not fulfilled to create great blessings for